I want to go into a little psychology for a second, okay? Because I think for you to understand who you are will help you understand who your kids are. Because you bring certain biases to the school with your educational background, how you've been educated in your walk to where you are today, what you've seen in your experiences with kids, with your own kids, with other people's kids, and so forth. And so there are a lot of things that happen. So I want to just go through a model with you very quickly that will help you understand how and why we do what we do. Okay? You can see that this model's been around a long time. But to me, it really is essential to understanding why we make certain decisions and why we do things in certain situations the way we do them. So I want you to think about this as 3 layers of yourself. Okay? You have your psychological core, which is the values, the beliefs, the attitudes that you've grown up with in your lifetime. Those are very difficult to change. Period. It is who you are. It's what you were born with. It's your makeup. It's your personality makeup. Those pieces become even more ingrained as you grow up through childhood. You can change them. These pieces right here can be changed, but it takes, some people joke, it takes a lot of therapy to make those changes, but you can do it. Now, you don't necessarily have to have therapy, but you have to have a real will to want to change certain aspects of who you are. And I'll give you an example. If you're in a room and you like control, and somebody says something, and you all of a sudden just turn to them and bite their head off, and then you walk away and you go, why did I just react that way? I didn't mean to react that way. Why did I even do that? Okay. That's your inner core. That's who you are. And your typical response comes from that inner core. This piece right here is typically how you would respond. Now, what you see from me here is not necessarily what you might see if I were out to eat with you. Right? Or out on the jogging trail. Or in a kayak somewhere. Or hiking in my favorite place, Sedona, Arizona. Anybody ever been there? It's red rocks everywhere. It's a very unique place, but for me, it's an energy driver for me. But you would see different roles that I play based on the situation that I'm in. So today, I'm playing a very different role than I would if I were out to eat with you. Or if I was in your living room, sitting and talking about whatever's going on. Those role-related behaviors change by the minute. You may talk to one person and act one way, and you go talk to somebody else and act another way, and then you're around your kids and you act a completely other way, and you would never let them know what you did when you were their age, and all kinds of stuff like that, right? But these pieces, this is very internal and very consistent, and it doesn't change. It's pretty much who you are. As I always say, there are 2 areas 2 discussion points that you never want to bring up around people that you don't know or that you know are in a different camp than you. Politics and religion, right? You don't want to bring those up at family gatherings if you're on 2 different sides of the fence, and you don't want to bring them up with your significant other if it's the first time you ever met them and you're trying to decide what you're going out on a date to do. I mean, you just don't want to do that. But otherwise, things that you talk about, things that you do, you may be very discretionary with role-related behavior versus having these typical responses, hey, I'm just going to let them know exactly how I feel on this. Or they're going to see how I act on this on a regular basis. That's important, though, in understanding ethics, being a teacher, working with kids, working with parents, working with community, working with administrators, being an administrator, you name it. The world that you live in balancing these things. Okay? There are times that what we believe in our core is so strong that we can't work in certain environments because it's too much against who we are. Yes? And that's where this model comes from, is that we layer. And as long as we can layer and we can control the typical responses from the role-related behaviors, we're in good shape. But if we can't, if something is grinding at us, that creates animosity, headaches, illness, you name it. It comes on us. So I want you to understand this piece, because this is who you are. And this is what you bring to the table. And this is what you're working with your kids to do and be. And they're going to be just like you as far as who their innermost core is, what their role-related behaviors are, what their typical responses are. And sometimes their typical responses are things that you don't want to hear in your classroom, right? And they have to learn that those typical responses are not necessarily needing to be said in a classroom. It comes back to what's appropriate there versus what's appropriate somewhere else, and making those adaptations as things go on. You teach that, but I wanted you to understand it from this being ever-changing versus this being very constant. Okay? When you deliver an ethics program, a social development program, a character development program, anytime you're doing that, I just want you to know what the research is showing on this, because I think it's important for you to understand what brings you in. Because one of the discussions, you've heard me say that we're going to be implementing character development in the schools. And we're going to be implementing recess in the schools. But there are two very, very important aspects that create whether a program is actually going to be implemented in total, 50%, or none at all. Okay? One piece has to do with you, and the other piece has to do with the situation, the environment. If you're not on board, it's not going to happen in your room. Right? It's not going to happen. If the situation is not right, it's not going to happen. As much as you want it to, if the situation is not right, it's not going to happen. Both of those things have to be in sync for any program to succeed, or for you to even want to do the program in the first place, whatever that is. And the program for me today is the ethics or the character development piece. Okay? Here's what it boils down to. Whoops. Hang on. I don't know what. I think it just adjusted for whatever. Oh, I can't do it here. I'll read it in just a minute. But you see here that these are the things that you have to be on board with in order for a program to be 100%, well, let's just say 80 to 100% successful. Meaning, you're going to implement, in this case, if I say, I come out here and I say, you need to do 3 times a week of 20 minutes a week of character development curriculum. See ya, and I'm out the door. Here's what you're thinking. If I have greater enthusiasm for the program because I believe in what you just told me to do, then you'll do it. Okay? Because you know that kids will change as a result of this program, you'll do it, right? Second one, you self-identify with the goals and concepts. It's something you believe in. You'll do it. Third one, you view the program compatible with what? The beliefs of the school, the beliefs of you, the beliefs of your kids, right? It's compatible with that. And fourth, you hold favorable attitudes towards the program and what it brings. If those things are all check, 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 check in your head, there's greater adherence and exposure to that curriculum with kids, and in turn, the kids are successful with that program. Okay? On the other hand, what did I do today Now, trust me on this, I'm not coming out here to tell you you're doing 3 days a week of 20 minutes of character development every week. I'm not coming out here to do that. But what I am coming out here, I've come out here to talk to you about ethics and why it's important and why we need it and all that, right? But did I just come out and say, okay, y'all need to know ethics is important, make sure you put it in the curriculum, I'll see y'all later, I'm going back to TCU? This would look very different. Because A, you have core values for the school, right? And B, you already are implementing things that you feel are working. And C, you have your own way of doing things in your classroom. Creative, you have flexibility, you have things going on, right? And D, who am I to come in 10 minutes time and tell you just to do something? Right? So then how does this change? You have zero enthusiasm for doing this project, right? This program. You don't identify at all because you already think that what you're doing is fine. You don't see it compatible because it doesn't meet the expectations of what you have as your goals in your class. And last but not least, you're not favorable because I didn't do anything to help you be favorable about anything in the first place. These things are what I take to the table when I talk to schools. Because I know that if we're going to make changes in schools today, it can't just be, we're going to go out there and do three times a week of 20 minutes of character development. Here's the curriculum, have fun. Let me know if you have any issues, I'll come out and help you. That won't work. People have, that it takes time to make change happen. And it takes time to create an environment where changes can be accepted and improved upon and bought into, right? And so, you know, my main message today was to help you understand where I am in my walk with helping schools change. My second message to you was, y'all are doing great things already. And I wanted you to understand how the character development piece, how important that is to what you're doing. Okay? And third, I want you to understand that this monster out there is big, and it takes all of us to help the change take place. And you're the right people to be able to make this happen. And I'm doing everything I can to pass the word about your school. Everything. From Washington, D.C., going to see Arnie Duncan. Alex was there with his girlfriend. We were sitting there eating a what was it, a hot chocolate sundae?
Something good.
Have you ever had a hot chocolate sundae? Anyway, we were sharing it, and I said, you know what, y'all got to go check out this school in Fort Worth. Kinderplatz. And his girlfriend's working at, she's going to school in the College of Ed over at TCU. I said, y'all need to just check it out. Well, now y'all fired her. And that's a good thing, but you know, these are the things that we need to work with, is people knowing that you're here, you knowing that we're doing projects in other places and being able to connect the dots. Last thing I wanted to show you, and I think this is really, really important. Everybody, I think, has a common core of wanting to be successful, right? You think we're born wanting to be unsuccessful? We want to be successful, but I want you to look up here, and I don't know if you can read all of it or not, but I want you to look to see how many of the terminology on the left side are related to ethical principles. Can you read them? Have a sense of gratitude, compliment, forgive others, accept responsibility for their failures, give other people credit for their victories, read every day, keep a journal, want others to succeed, talk about ideas, share information and data, keep a to-be list, set goals and develop life plans, exude joy, embrace change, continuously learn, operate from a transformational perspective, keep keep a to-do project list. Did you get some ethics pieces out of there? Forgive others. Gratitude, compliment, credit for victories to others, accept responsibility, joy. Do you see what ethics does for us? It creates success. And when we don't have it, it creates unsuccess. And the last word I'm going to leave with you, and I think I'm like right on the button here. Last word I'm going to leave is this. If people will think about their actions and what it does for their credibility before they do it, that success will come much more often. Credibility is who you are. And without it, no one will trust you. No one will want to be around you. No one will want to follow you. Each of us needs to be as credible and personable as possible. I challenge each and every one of us today to be the credibility as a teacher, as a parent, as a community member that we can. And do your part with your strengths to make the world a different place. For our kids and for us. Thank you. I really appreciate y'all, and I hope you really understand that I do appreciate what you bring in. Thanks, awesome. All right. Good. Well, I think I'm coming out to see parents at some point, right?
Yes, in March.
And so